Let's start from the beginning with you at the Cecil Hotel. There's got to be some instances that just stand out, that are just, top 5 of the creepiest person you checked in, or a situation you had to deal with during your time there.
It's not going to be scary. It's going to be sad. I mean, the things that that happened to me that I remember the most, there are extremely disturbing and sad. It's about loss, people that killed themselves, at very young ages. People that overdosed. People that died there, that lived there forever and didn't have one family member. Like, things that it's hard to wrap your head around that these situations even exist.
So you probably saw a lot of death while being at the Hotel Cecil.
I estimate during my period of, over at the Cecil, that over 80 people passed away, and I studied that number just to, because I know that's a large number. However, out of those 80 people, I saw one body, and that was towards the end of my tenure there, and it would change my life forever, actually. All those years I had no desire to see, of course I met with the police, gave them access to the rooms. I was there in the hall, but I just had no interest of going in and checking out what happened or anything like that. And it was getting close to, the end of my time period there. And so I was sitting in my office, and I heard a big boom above my head. And I just knew that somebody had jumped off and landed right on top of my office. And I ran out to the front desk. Did anybody hear that? Because it rattled my cage. For some reason, I knew that's what it was. And, the phone started ringing, and I answered the phone. It's a tenant, and he said, "Amy, someone's just landed in front of my room." I thought, oh gosh, okay, here we go. So called the police. Come on over. And it takes about, when they do answer and they're coming, it takes about 2 minutes. You can hear the sirens coming.
Yeah.
Because the police station's pretty close to Cecil.
Yeah.
So when we discovered where he had jumped from, it was, I believe, the 9th floor, and I was with the officers and gave them access to the room. And I asked a female police officer, "Is it really bad?" I guess I was curious, and maybe after all those years, And she said, "Oh no, it's just like the movies. Come in and take a look." And I said, "It's not bad." She said, "No." So I come in and I overlook, and I see this young man. I think he was about 27 at the time, like very, very young, very athletic build, in a pair of underpants, just laying there with vacant eyes. And I thought, oh my gosh, like why? Like why? What happened to you? Well, flash forward a couple weeks later, this is the only body that I ever would see at the Cecil, aside from being in a body bag. I never worked out on my lunch hour, but I went and worked out on my lunch hour on that particular day. I got a call from the hotel, and that boy's father is there to meet with me. So I go back to the hotel, and I'm thinking, this is pretty heavy, because this is the only body that I ever saw, And he's waiting for me out on the sidewalk there, and I'm not sure what he wants to talk about, And at the end of the day, he came there because he wanted to see where his son died. And I was, in the beginning, a little skeptical because of legal reasons. He just, it's not really protocol to be doing a walkthrough, like something like that. He explained that he was a retired New York police officer, and he said that he did not have a problem with me. He has a problem with our police force because the way that, he received his news, he was mowing his lawn and he heard his wife screaming in the kitchen. That's how he found out his son died. So he wanted to, I guess, just see where it all happened. And he looked at me and he asked me if I ever lost anyone in my life.